Howdy, my name is Sabrina and I'm going to be doing a quick update on reaching 150 hours of Dreaming Spanish. For context, I started watching Dreaming Spanish around June 2023. Yeah, I know, it's been a year, but I wasn't watching Dreaming Spanish very consistently, and by the time it was February of this year, I had completely fallen off of consuming comprehensible input. I was around 112 hours, so I still hadn't reached level 3 yet. But whenever I was browsing subreddit, the start of this month, which is June 2024, I saw that there was like a little mini challenge going on, encouraging others to like at least hit around 3 hours every day. And with that challenge going on, it kind of gave me the encouragement I needed to finally reach 150 hours. Finally. So let's get the most important question out of the way. Did I find it difficult to get back into watching Dreaming Spanish after a couple months break? Short answer, yes. I remember whenever I first clicked on a beginner video and I was watching it, the first thing that came to mind was, shit, I don't understand Spanish anymore. But I ended up watching some super beginner videos for maybe like an hour, 2 hours, and then I went back into watching beginner videos and I was like, okay, actually I do understand Spanish. So I would honestly recommend, if you can, just continue to consistently watch the Spanish videos. But if you can't, like, it's not going to be the end of the world. I was able to get back into watching videos. But it was worrisome at first whenever I kind of didn't understand what was going on, or it just seemed very fast-paced for me, but it ended up being okay in the end. Now, by the time that I reached level 3, I was watching videos ranging in the difficulty of upper 30s, mid 40s. Whenever I was watching videos in this range, I understood most of what was going on, with the occasional, I have no clue what they had just said or what that meant. And as I was getting closer to reaching 150 hours, so maybe like around 145 hours, I wanted to experiment with watching some intermediate videos. I noticed that whenever I did watch those intermediate videos, I was actually kind of surprised that I was capable of following along, because I didn't think I would be able to understand without a lot of visual cues to help me, but I was able to, at least for some of them. I still found it difficult, but I was pretty happy. Now moving on to some things that I noticed. First, I noticed whenever I was watching the videos, I would echo everything that was being said. And this wasn't like I was intentionally repeating certain words or phrases. It was just more so like my brain just saying what was being heard. I think my brain would subconsciously do this because it was its way of focusing, right? Otherwise, my brain would have been thinking like, oh, what am I going to do later? Or I wonder what I'm going to eat later on today. What's going to go on tomorrow? Did my friend text me back yet? You know, all those things. So just by echoing exactly what was being said, I was able to focus a little bit more. And I also think my brain was also doing that just to prevent myself from translating, because if my brain was just thinking about what was being said in Spanish, it didn't give me time to try and translate it to English. I also noticed that whenever I wasn't watching Dreaming Spanish, just throughout my day, sometimes certain words or certain phrases in Spanish would come up, even if what I was doing wasn't related to that certain Spanish word or phrase. So that's kind of interesting. And I also noticed that was happening even around like my 50 hours. So it wasn't something new that I was really experiencing. But one thing that I did feel was different during this time around was that the super beginner videos were starting to feel very slow to me. Whenever I did start watching Dreaming Spanish, like a year ago, whoops. Whenever I did start watching Dreaming Spanish, the super beginner videos didn't seem, they didn't seem slow to me. But as I was consuming a lot more hours this month, whenever I went to watch some super beginner videos, I was like, wow, they're talking really slow. And because of that, I did find it hard to follow what they were saying, even though it was a super beginner video. So the way that I kind of like navigated through being able to watch those super beginner videos was literally putting it on like 1.5 speed, or sometimes 2 times speed. And that was able to let me, you know, consume the super beginner content, get more vocabulary in, and not have as much difficulty understanding, because it was at a reasonable pace Last thing I noticed was that I would still be translating here and there, and I think I mainly did this whenever it was difficult for me to understand what was going on. So the way that I literally just dealt with this was that I would just either accept that I didn't know what was going on and then like didn't even try to, I guess, understand, or I would just exit off the video completely and choose to watch a different video that was, I guess, more comprehensible for me. So according to the roadmap, I'm supposed to be able to understand people if they stay within certain topics, which I think could be true. But I don't think I have a good intuition for grammar. Like, I think I understand whenever people are speaking in past tense or if they're speaking in present tense. But if I were to have to construct a sentence on my own, like, I don't think I would be able to intuitively be able to do that. And I guess that kind of worries me because, like, you know, later down the line, how am I going to be able to speak? Like, how am I going to know where I'm supposed to order certain words in a sentence? Like, it just, I don't know, that seems kind of hard. And I guess another thing too, as I'm going through this process, is that I worry that maybe I'm just not smart enough to be able to, I guess, acquire a language in this manner. I guess it's just a silly worry because I am pretty early on in this learning journey, but I feel like, I don't know, it's just I don't know how everything's gonna work out and if I am even gonna be able to learn Spanish. And I guess the underlying main doubt that I have about all this is like, what if I'm actually not learning? Like, what if I'm just consuming all these hours and I'm not learning the language, which would be heartbreaking, and that scares me a lot. Because, you know, one time I was speaking to my friend and I was talking to them about how excited I am that I feel like I'm actually learning the language, because as I'm watching these videos, I'm able to understand what they're saying, and that's something that I never thought I would be able to do. But they told me, like, well, you're probably only understanding because they're like showing photos and, you know, they're making gestures that help you understand. And so then that got me thinking, like, oh, dang, like, yeah, maybe I'm not actually learning. Maybe I'm not actually learning the language and I'm just telling myself that. And so then, like, maybe the only reason I understand Spanish is literally just because, you know, they're putting photos in front and they're having gestures. But without that, without people doing that, I will have nothing. I will not have the language. But even with these doubts, I'm still gonna watch Dreaming Spanish just because I feel like this method is more satisfying, more enjoyable than just sitting down and, like, I guess, studying. As for what I plan on doing while I'm trying to reach level 4, I still plan on watching super beginner and beginner videos, and I'm going to be watching a lot of gameplays that the intermediate videos have. So I don't know, I don't know if, like, it'll actually be comprehensible for me, but I love watching the gameplays. Those are my favorite videos. And I'm also hoping that I can branch off to watching some podcasts. Just because, like, throughout this whole time, like, all of my 150 hours that I've accumulated was just purely Dreaming Spanish. So hopefully I'm able to, you know, watch some podcasts now that I'm level 3, and maybe it'll be easier for me to understand now that I've accumulated some vocabulary through comprehensible input. So yeah, I think that's all I have for this update. Hopefully some other dreamers would be interested in joining me on this journey and letting me know what their experiences are and how their progress is going. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next update. Ciao, ciao.